Good morning, second graders. Today is Thursday, April 30th, 2020. We have a couple activities we'll be working on today in our student interactive. We will be working on some academic vocabulary from our reading writing bridge, some spelling, and then we'll move into our writing. So the first page we'll be working on is page 541. With this academic vocabulary activity, we're focusing on synonyms. These are words that mean the same thing or nearly the same thing, and writers choose synonyms to make their writing more interesting. Sometimes you can figure out the meaning of a word by looking for a synonym near it, and that's using context clues. When we're reading, oftentimes the author puts these clues in the sentences or phrases that they're writing, so the reader has a better understanding of one of these academic words that they're using in the text. So your job today is to look at these three words: destruction, act, and environmental. Write a synonym, a word that means nearly the same, and then write the meaning of that original word. So you'll be writing the meaning of the word destruction and finding a synonym for the word destruction. I wanted to show you guys a little trick because in the directions for my turn, it says to use a dictionary or a thesaurus to find a synonym for each of these words. You know what a dictionary is. The dictionary gives you the definition of a word, and a thesaurus is similar to a dictionary, but it lists many, many synonyms for many words. So I'm going to go to a Google Doc, and I've already typed the word destruction. So if you don't have access to a dictionary or a thesaurus and you don't want to mess with an online one or a website that you're not comfortable using, go to Google Docs. I know that you all know how to do that from working on that in class together. Type the word. So I've typed the word destruction. I've highlighted it. And then I go up here to tools. I click tool and I click dictionary. And you'll notice that up on the side over here, I have the part of speech, it's a noun. I have how do we pronounce that word, destruction. And then I have the definition. So you could write for the definition, the action or process of causing so much damage to something that it no longer exists or cannot be repaired. So you could shorten that and write that in your own way if you want to. Maybe just write the action or process of causing damage. And then if you look a little further down, I'm going to try and highlight it. It says synonyms, and you can see these words are listed as synonyms. So if it were me, I would go back to my student interactive where it says synonym. I would write that first word that I saw, demolition, right there. And then for the meaning, I would write the action or process of causing damage, okay? So you can go ahead and do that on your own. You can do the same thing for the word act and environmental. You have that tool at your fingertips. Just go into Google Docs. When you're finished with that page, we are going to move on to page 543 and 544. So on page 543, we're working on spelling with double consonants. Remember we talked about the V, C, C, V pattern earlier this week. So you have your two vowels, and in between those two vowels, you have two consonants, and that's how you know to split the word between those two double consonants. So your job is to take a look at these words. If you look at numbers 1 through 12, you should notice that the letters of these words are scrambled. So you're going to need to spell the word correctly. Okay, so for example, number 1, I see L-O-D-L-A-R. I'm noticing those two L's, that's my double consonant. I can look at my word list on the right-hand side. I notice that the word dollar has those two L's, the double consonants. I'm going to write the word dollar, D-O-L-L-A-R, and the directions also tell me to add a line between the syllables. I know that L-L is my double consonant, so I will write D-O-L, add my line, L-A-R for my second syllable. You also have two words to know. Those words to know, across and during, you do not need to split those into two syllables, okay? Let's go ahead and move on. On page 544, you'll be working on contractions. A contraction is made by putting two words together, and some of the letters are left out. An apostrophe takes the place of the missing letters. So let's read these contractions. In this first column on the far left-hand side, these are contractions with the word not. So is not, do not, cannot, will not. Those words turn into the contractions isn't, don't, can't, and won't. In the second column in the center, we have contractions with the word will. I will, you will, she will, we will. Those words turn into the contractions I'll, you'll, she'll, we'll. Then we have contractions with forms of be. So this is a special type of contraction. For example, I am turns into I'm. You are turns into your. He is he's. It is it's. Okay, so your job now is to edit this draft. So when you read this text below, you're going to notice that there are some errors with contractions where the contraction is written with an apostrophe and it's not written correctly, or the contraction doesn't include an apostrophe and you need to write it the correct way. Let's read. It says the school book fair starts today, but my class isn't going until tomorrow. I notice there's an error with isn't. Fix that on your own. Jack told me it's amazing how many books are there. It's. Is that correct? The next sentence. I'll have a hard time choosing a book. This just doesn't look right. I know that aisle is not written the correct way. Kyle said he is going to buy 2. He's. You need to turn that into a contraction because it should represent he is, and we need that apostrophe in the correct place to have that representation. All right, let's move on. We're going to turn to page 545 and start talking a little bit about writing. Remember last week you learned about a procedural text, a how-to text, and you even started planning your own. So in a how-to text, you have a command. A command is not a sentence that asks you to do something. It's not a question. A command is a sentence and it's telling you to do something. Let's go ahead and read this part at the top. It says, an author of a procedural text uses short sentences to tell how to follow a sequence of actions. So that sequence they're talking about, you guys, is those step-by-step directions. A command begins with a verb that makes the directions easy to follow. For example, cut the string into 12-inch pieces. Cut is the verb. Mix the ingredients together. Mix is the verb. So you have that action word at the beginning. You are telling someone to do that. That's a command. You are commanding them, almost demanding them to do it. To restate the instructions, begin with a verb, but put the commands in your own words. Okay, so here's what I want you to do. On the My Turn, it says that you can find a how-to text from your own library. Now, if we were in the classroom together, I'd have an example for you. But since we're not, we're going to do this part a little differently. All I want you to do is practice writing 2 commands. You can make up your own. So if I was writing about how to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, maybe one of my steps would be spread the jelly with the knife. And spread is my verb, and that would go at the beginning of the sentence, so I know it's a command. So come up with 2 commands on your own. It could really be about anything. Just make sure those 2 commands begin with a verb. When you're ready, we'll move on to the next page, page 546. And this page is all about writing precise instructions. So you'll notice that when you read a procedural text or a how-to, those precise instructions are giving details to make each step clear. You really want it to be detailed and specific. So I'm going to let you read this page to yourself, but you'll notice instructions on the left-hand side are simple. The precise instructions have details added. So instead of just saying drop paint on your paper, you might say drop small blobs of paint on your paper with a spoon. So those precise instructions we added, you're not just dropping paint, you're dropping small blobs of paint, you're dropping it on your paper, but what are you using? You're using a spoon. Go ahead and read the rest of this to yourself. Right now, you can pause the video or read it when we finish. Now it says to develop precise instructions for your how-to text. You don't need to do that yet. I'm not requiring you to write your how-to text this week. We'll write it another time, but you did create your plan last week, so don't forget about that. The last thing you're doing today is reading a little bit about graphics. We did talk about this last week as well. In a procedural text, an author usually includes graphics to help readers understand how to do something. So your graphics can be drawings, photographs, and diagrams. Remember, a diagram is a picture with labels. So again, if we were in the classroom, I'd have an example for you of a how-to text, and I would want you to include the title and create your own graphic to match it. Instead of doing that, I want you to go back to your plan from last week, and I want you to think about what graphic might I include. So whatever topic you chose to start planning your how-to about, create a graphic to go with it, some sort of picture to describe at least one of the steps. And if it were me, I'd include some labels. That's all you guys have to do today. We're ending on page 547. As always, please reach out to me if you need any help. Tomorrow we have our end of the week meeting. It'll be a Zoom meeting. That's something new for us. But after that meeting, we will go ahead and make sure you guys are taking your weekly progress checkup. It's Unit 5, Week 2. So make sure tomorrow you take your weekly progress checkup on my view for Unit 5, Week 2. I hope you guys have a great weekend, and I'll see you tomorrow for our meeting. Bye.